Mr. Nightmare. Back at it again with the scary true pizza delivery horror stories.
Volume. It was last Thursday night when I ordered pizza from the hut. When the delivery boy arrived, he had a sinister grin on his face as he handed me the box. I could barely make out the details in the light of the porch being dark. But once I gave him his tip and he went on his way, I came inside to find out the true horror, that he handed me the pizza upside down!
It's more of a dick move than it is scary. It's more of a dick move right there. It's just like
still horrible.
Oh, it is. I agree. That's so bad. So
I would have been chasing after her, be like, "You come back here, bitch!" Flip my pizza upside down. What the fuck?
You ruined my pizza, you bastard!
Everything is attached to the top of the box now.
And it's all your fault!
I can only eat the bread.
God. So yeah, the fact that he's done this 5 times now, because this is volume 5. Sheesh. I mean, I guess there's just a lot of shitty pizza delivery stories out there, just like and I'm not talking like, what Nick's talking about, where it's like an inconvenience like that, because I heard one, it was literally this guy was called out to the edge of a town that he was delivering in, and he goes there, and it's this old farmhouse, and he goes up, he parks at the end of the driveway, he walks up to the door, and he knocks on the door. He looks over, and the person, he sees someone looking at him from the window, and then
I remember that.
Then he looks. As soon as he looks over, the person just whips away from the window real fast, and no one answers the door or anything like that. Instead, he's just like, well, no one's answering, so I guess I'll just leave. And as he's leaving, he starts hearing footsteps behind him.
Footsteps?
Yeah. And he looks back, and he initially doesn't see anything because it's really dark. And then he looks back, looks back towards his car and starts walking towards his car again. And at first he doesn't hear footsteps, but then he starts hearing footsteps getting faster and getting louder behind him.
Oh, shit.
That's when he turns around and he sees someone running at him, full tilt sprint. He drops the pizza and just sprints towards his car, hops in his car, and drives off. And here's the thing: as he's driving his car, he's like, oh, thank God I got away from that. Thank God I got away. And he drives about 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden, he hears something weird going on with his car. And then he stops his car and he gets out and he looks. All 4 of his tires have been slashed. And at that point, he was like, fuck this, I'm calling the cops. And he calls the cops. Cops say, okay, we'll be there shortly. And then he's there for about 10-15 minutes, and he looks down the road, and there's a street light in the distance, and he sees someone under the street light just walking towards him. And they're on the other side of the road over here. He's on one side of the road, person's over here. As soon as that person leaves from directly under the street light, they cross over to where he is. And then that's when he's just like, no, to hell with this. And he bolts it into the forest off to the side. There's a little forest section off to the side where he's at. So he bolts in there and he hides in there. The person walks up to his car, and then the person pulls something out of one of the back tires. Turns out this was the person who had slashed his tires, because they pulled out a jagged piece of metal that apparently they had used to slash this dude's tires.
Holy shit.
And then the person is looking out in the forest, and then all of a sudden in the distance you see blue and red lights in the distance, and then the person looks at that and then runs off and is never seen again.
Yeah.
And the dude gets back up to his car, and he gets up to his car and he points. He's like, the person who did it just followed me, and he's right down there, and then I don't know what's going on. And they went to the cops went to the house. They investigated the house. Turns out someone had been living there for some time, but the residence was like unoccupied.
A squatter.
Yes, a squatter was living there, and I guess he was trying to steal from the guy or do something. They're not sure, but they never found out who the person was.
Damn.
But it was terrifying. It was a terrifying experience, and that to me like blows me away.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
did this happen to?
Huh?
Who did this happen to?
It was in one of Mr. Nightmare's previous ones. I think it was one of his first, it was one of his first ones that he did.
Oh, okay.
Concerning
to that one a long time ago. I remember
Yeah.
that one as well.
That one was something.
So I definitely remember him talking about the person like looking through the blinds or whatever whenever he went up to the door.
Yeah, and you see, there's one person who I really wish would get back into telling scary stories. I miss his storytelling. Corpse Husband. You ever heard of Corpse Husband?
No.
I think he doesn't anymore due to medical reasons though.
Yeah, he's got GERD and a few other medical issues that. But let's see.
What's GERD?
It's basically a form of acid reflux that is debilitating.
Oh.
But yeah. This is his voice.
Yo, Corpse.
This
What's going on?
Hello, friend.
Wow.
What?
Kicks like Uno, kicks like Uno.
Wait, what?
Corpse's voice is like infrasonic bass.
Is that real? No.
Oh my god.
It's real, believe me.
It's
Sounds like
actual.
he'd be that dude who, like, you know,
All right,
kills people in the game.
Corpse need a fist fight.
Yeah, he sounds
why?
like John Wick should sound. Or voice
Yeah.
He sounds like God and the devil should sound like.
I don't know. I guess I haven't done a face reveal, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Guys, who's Corpse?
Well,
I'm
I just
totally
assume
fine
that
with
some
it.
of this voice might look like, you know, they don't look like what they sound like.
You're
you know?
accurate. You're completely accurate.
Yeah, that's Corpse's voice. Every time here's the thing. We knew about Corpse, me and Nick, and a lot of people out there knew about Corpse before he started playing games with all these other big streamers and everything. And now everyone's just like, oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Corpse Husband. It's like, but now that he's out of the limelight, people don't give a shit anymore. Dude, I'm concerned. I want to see more from Corpse. I know that medical reasons is the reason why he's taking a break, but I hope he's doing all right. I really do, because I miss Corpse. The dude is awesome. The dude has just a great voice. He's a talented musician. He's just a great person. I really wish that I really hope to hear from him soon, because it is nearing Halloween, and it has been almost a year since he's been missing.
Yeah.
But all right, we got a video here by Mr. Nightmare. If y'all haven't seen the original, be sure to watch it before watching the reaction with us. Please do that, because we want to share the original as much as possible with people. And honestly, I know y'all want to watch it with us, but please, watch the original and give the original their flowers before coming and watching it with us. But all right, anyway, here we go. Knock, knock.
At the age of 17, I was working as a pizza delivery boy for a local pizza place. I was doing it for months by this point. I had done countless deliveries already. My first car was an old, cheap Toyota, so it was perfect for bopping around town with. It was a Friday or Saturday night. I was working the closing shift, which was 12 a.m. It was open later on weekends. This was towards the end of the night, past 11 for sure. My boss, who I'll just call Mario, would always give me the details for the houses I'd be delivering to and their orders. We had an order for one pie to a woman named Karen, ironically. It was an unusually long drive away, about 15 minutes. Most orders come locally around the area, like 5 minutes away on average. I expected a better tip for this reason. I brought the pizza to my car and off I went, listening to my usual playlist on the way. I pulled down the block of the address and pulled up in front of the house. It was a small-sized house, as were most of the houses in the area. It seemed to be a lower income area. The lights were on in one of the rooms on the first floor. I was approaching the door when suddenly a woman called out from a window from the house next door saying, "Excuse me, that pizza's for us. We gave the wrong address." So I walked next door to the front door and saw that the doorbell was broken. So I opened the storm door and then knocked really loud on the main door. There wasn't an answer for a good 30 seconds, so I knocked again, and I heard a woman's voice on the other side yell, "1 second," but they still took forever to open the door. Another minute passed before the door finally opened, and a woman in probably her mid-40s answered the door. She right away smiled at me and gave this flirtatious head-to-toe stare at me as if she were checking me out. She said in a very loud voice, "Chels, come look how handsome the delivery boy is." Another woman about the same age came over to the door, and she did the same thing. Right away I felt my cheeks getting red, as I was a bit shy around older women like that. The woman who opened the door, who I'm assuming was Karen, asked me what time I get off work. And that was when I started getting really nervous because I wasn't good at flirting with women at that age. I said this is probably my last delivery, and then one of the women asked me if I wanted to come in and have some wine with them. I knew my friends would all rip on me forever if I blew this opportunity, so I said yeah, sure.
Oh my god.
They asked how old I was, and I said 21, and then they both laughed, and one of them said they don't care if I'm under 21. They told me to sit on the couch, so I did, and they both sat on either side of me. This whole encounter felt too good to be true to me. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. I had a feeling these two women were already very drunk. From here, the women are both being very flirty with me, commenting on my dimples, saying how cute my shyness was, and all this stuff. I was drinking some wine pretending like it didn't taste disgusting to me, because I didn't drink wine at that age at all. The woman Chelsea started saying that they want to show me something in the basement. I laughed and said, "What is it?"
No.
What in the hell?
Like, if you want to cordially invite me into your home, cool. All right. All well and good. Be like, "Hey, man, you want to see the It's like, "Hey, man, you want to see the basement?" It's like,
no.
I mean, our basement's cool, but like, you do not walk up in a stranger's house, especially if they're like intoxicated. This is just red flags all over it.
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just like,
This is how you get turned into a real life Picasso painting.
this is when you become, an urban legend.
Yeah.
And like, and that's the thing. Your body is never found. You wind up missing.
Mm-hmm. Eaten by alligators or something.
Or buried in a concrete, like, grave.
Oh my god.
A shallow concrete grave in the basement.
They both laughed and said it's a secret, but that I'll like what it is. They wanted me to go down first.
Nope.
Honestly, I had
They're
my
gonna
own
hit you
fantasy
over
about
the
what was
head.
going to happen in the basement. Unfortunately, it was nowhere near that. I walked over to the doorway of the basement and looked down into the darkness below. I looked back at them and noticed they weren't laughing anymore. They had these blank faces. Only until they noticed me look back at them and they started to laugh and smile again. I said in a firm voice, "What's down there?" They said almost in unison, "It's a surprise." I started to walk slowly down into the basement, asking where the light switch is. One of them said, "Leave the lights off." Now this part I'm not 100% certain of, but I was looking down into the basement, and I thought I saw something move. Something as in a person's arm or hand. I turned around and saw the two women weirdly creeping towards the door, sneakily. I stepped out of the basement and shut the door. I told them I need the money for the pizza as I nervously walked around them closer to the front door. This was when I spotted the towering, huge man standing in the doorway of an adjacent room, probably the kitchen.
Oh my god.
His 5 words have stayed with me all these years later. He said, "Let's just make this easy." I turned for the door and said the pizza's free. I ran to open it and slammed it behind me, only to hear it open seconds later. I got in my car, locking the door first thing, and that man was already outside my passenger side window looking in. He tried opening the door and then knocked on the glass. I put it in drive and got out of there not looking back. I got back to work and told my boss what happened and why I came back empty-handed. He and the rest were in shock. I called the non-emergency number to report what happened, just in case if anything else should be reported at that address again, the police would know something awful's going on in that house. Whatever trap I was about to walk into, thank God I didn't find out what it was.
Let's just make this easy.
Yeah, that's fucking creepy.
I was going to say that. Whoa. Big dude, like, I mean, how big are we talking? Because I'm big. I'm like 6'2". And
Yeah, I imagine like someone Nate's size,
being
like, or 6'7" or something.
Yeah,
you know,
someone like fucking Cutshaw or Travis Lee, the two of the wrestlers that's part of our organization. They're both like 6'5", 6'6". They're freaking huge, and I can just imagine like, let's just make this easy. It's like, no.
Yeah, he's lucky they didn't roofie the wine they were giving him.
That's the thing. That's what I was expecting. I was like, as I was driving, I noticed that my eyes were starting to shut.
Yeah.
They put something in the fucking wine. God.
When I was 19 years old, I was still working at a nearby pizza place to help pay for food and gas and stuff. The job was always pretty easy. Just taking the order, boxing up the food when it's done, putting it in a bag, and driving it to the given address. I'd done it a million times before, and nothing weird ever happened. It was very repetitive. Tips would usually be around $3 to $5 depending on the distance. Sometimes more generous people would give 10 or more though. I remember this order was just a chicken parm hero and a regular slice. Smaller orders like this usually yielded lesser tips, but I didn't have a choice in which deliveries I did. I was on my way to the address, and of course, the house was apparently on a dead-end block. This block had a more rural feel to it than the rest of the neighborhood. One of the houses had an RV sitting on the grass with a small patch of woods next to it. The other houses looked like little farmhouses. There was a lot more space on this particular street. And then I pulled up to the address. It was this small, weird-looking house with a huge property, though. It sat next to what appeared to be an abandoned house with overgrown grass and shrubs. It was probably around 6 p.m. and it was getting pretty dark out, so it was around the time people would start putting on their lights inside their houses. But all the lights in the house were off, and I noticed the front door seemed cracked open. I began to walk over to the front door, and I heard a piano being played. It sounded like it was a couple rooms away at least, muffled by some walls or a door or something. I knocked on the door and then rang the bell after a few minutes, only the doorbell didn't work. The piano was still playing. I felt weird just walking in, so I walked around the property towards the back. The backyard was a literal mess, things scattered all over the grass. I even saw a broken, rusty chain link fence just sitting in the middle of the yard. I went to the back door and knocked really loud. I looked through the glass of the door and saw nothing except for what looked like a really messy storm room. Clearly these people were not neat freaks to say the least. When nobody answered the back door either, I went back around front and called one of the guys at the pizzeria to confirm the address with him. He took a second to check what he wrote down, and he confirmed that I was at the correct address. So I went back to the front door, pushed it open, and heard the creepy sounding piano music still playing. I yelled, "Pizza's here." The piano stopped, someone yelled, "Over here," then the piano resumed. They were playing this simple yet creepy repetitive song as if on loop. There were also no lights on in this house, so it was almost hard to see in there.
No.
I walked straight, getting closer to the sound of the music. The smell inside the house was very musty and off-putting. When I got halfway into, I guess what you'd call the foyer, I felt very uncomfortable. I wasn't going to go any further. I yelled, "I'm by the front door, sir." The music stopped, this time for good, and now there was just silence. I backed towards the door again so that I would be closer to the outside. I was expecting to hear footsteps coming towards me, but no, it was just dead silent. I said, "Sir?" And a voice from another room said, "Yes, sorry, I have trouble walking. Could you just bring it in here, please?" I asked, "What room are you in, sir?" And he took a moment to answer back, "If you just walk through the living room, I'm in the dining room." There were no directions on the phone to do any of this, so this was very strange. I thought for a second about my next course of action. I felt bad leaving in the case that this was some old, feeble man just living in a messy house. I started walking through the living room, and there was an opening that led to what I presumed to be the dining room. Me being my overly cautious and paranoid self was still suspicious. Instead of walking straight into the dining room, I peeked around the wall just enough for one eye to see into the room. I saw the piano, but There was no one sitting at it. I also didn't see anyone in the entire room. With that, I quietly but quickly walked back towards the front door, shut the door behind me, and drove back to the pizzeria. I explained that I got a sketchy vibe inside the house. My boss was completely understanding, especially when the alleged customer didn't call back asking why I left. That said everything. I didn't really understand the logic in trying to commit a robbery in your own house, and nor did my boss or coworkers. So later that night after work, I looked up that address, and that house was foreclosed on months ago, and it had been vacant. When I told this to everyone, they had the same mouth-dropping reaction I did. I was truly mere steps away from probably getting robbed. That, or someone was trying to play a horrible prank on an unsuspecting pizza delivery guy.
Or you could have got murdered instead, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly. You could have got removed from the census like that.
He was gonna eat you, not the pizza.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, he's like, gives the pizza. He's like, thanks for the snack. Main course will be ready soon. Main course is you. Then just like leaps at you.
It's like you forgot my favorite topping. Oh, what's your favorite topping that we forgot? People.
Human.
Brain.
You'll do. Come here.
Anonymous.
It was my last week working at an Italian restaurant. It was a half pizzeria, half Italian restaurant, so my duties would switch from shift to shift. Sometimes I'd work the front register in the pizzeria, sometimes I'd be a busboy in the restaurant side, and sometimes I'd be doing deliveries. I liked doing deliveries the most because I'd make tip money. So it was ironic that I left this job with a horrible, scarring experience doing a delivery. It was a late night delivery. Of course, this is when the shady things happen. We got an order for 3 specialty pizzas. It was a big order, probably like $70 worth of pizza. It was on the bad side of town. This was already a minor red flag. Good thing I drove a crappy old Civic and wouldn't draw any negative attention out in that area, or so I thought. It was a 15-minute drive at least, and when I got to the house, I went up to ring the bell. The door opens within seconds, and this Latino man opens the door halfway, sees the pizzas, opens it fully, exposing the pistol in his hand. I'm not a gun person, but if I had to guess, I'd say it was a Colt 45. But I wasn't really paying attention.
Oh, Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. Baby, that's all we need. Sorry.
To what kind of gun it was.
Also,
How did I know you were gonna
Isn't
quote
that song
that?
not talking about the
it's
gun?
talking about liquor. It's talking about
that's what
malt
I
liquor.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's talking about a 40, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Colt 45, like the beer. Yeah, it's that it's just a joke. Every time I hear Colt 45, I can't help but just do the Afro Man song in my head.
That brings back memories of that party.
Oh yeah, me and Ashley and all of us singing that damn song.
Yeah.
Singing them dirty rap songs. Stop. Yeah.
Yep, that's probably my only memory from that party.
Yeah, that was. You got sauced.
Yeah.
You got a little sauced.
Never
My
drink
heart basically dropped out of my
again.
ass at the first sight
That's
of
for
it
sure.
and realizing the situation. Then 2 more Latino men came to the door and grabbed me while the first one still had me at gunpoint. They were yelling in Spanish at each other. Then the guy with the gun says in broken English, "Give me all of your stuff." I said okay, as I could barely breathe or speak due to my panic. I grabbed my wallet, which was all I could really offer him. He then yelled, "Phone," and I gave him my phone as well. It was a Motorola Razr, the iPhone of the 2000s pretty much.
Yeah, I remember
One of them
those.
even forcibly grabbed my wrist
I had
and
one of
yanked off
those
my
when I
wallet.
was supposed to have a smartphone already for several years. I got made fun of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you
Those
still
are
have
cool.
a fucking razor? What the hell?
Those were cool back in the day.
Oh yeah, they were definitely cool.
Watch. Thankfully, it wasn't an expensive watch. After this, one of them grabbed my ID out of my wallet and read out my address. Then they threatened me, basically saying if I told anybody about this, they'd come to my address and kill my whole family. I said okay, I understand, wanting to cry for help and for my life, but I couldn't. They then pushed me out of the house down the stoop, causing me to land on my hands and knees and start to bleed. They slammed the door shut, and all I had left on me now were my keys. I didn't return back to the pizzeria. I was too shaken and disturbed. I went home, noticeably quiet and shaky. My parents picked up on it. They also saw my scuffed up shorts and my bloody knees. They knew something was wrong, and they tried prying it out of me. I had to tell them the truth. I told them I was robbed at gunpoint on a delivery, and they had our address and threatened to come kill us if I reported them. My dad, who had connections with the police department, right away called the number of one of his close friends, and they immediately did a background check of the person living in that house. His name was Rodrigo. He had 4 prior felony convictions. And so, my dad, with the help of his police connections, ignoring the threat from the man with the gun, had a squad of police cars surround the house and enter the house with their guns drawn. I wasn't there, of course, but we heard a description of the scene through my dad's connections. 2 of the 3 men were still in the house and were arrested and charged. The man who had 4 convictions already got a life sentence. One of the guys by his side had a prior conviction and was sentenced to 5 years. The 3rd guy wasn't in the house, and I don't think they ever found him. To this day, he's still out there for all I know. And on several occasions since then, I've woken up to sounds from outside when the windows are open, like footsteps on the side walkway to the backyard, or the gate swinging open and closed. It could just be my imagination or being paranoid, but I do still worry for my and my family's well-being. Enough time has passed now that I think that man fled the country, or at the very least knows better than to ever show his face in this town again. But still, it is something that hangs in the back of my mind.
First of all, do not sleep with your windows open.
Yeah, that's problem number 1.
Second of all, what the fuck?
Well, second of all, you say you're not a gun guy.
Time to be a gun.
Time to be a gun
time
person.
To get a gun.
You don't have to be a gun nut. You don't have to be like, I'm gonna buy a new gun every weekend and I'm gonna polish it and give it a name. It's like, no.
Go to every gun show in town.
One that works well and go to the range with it a few times so you know what you're doing with it.
Exactly.
Keep it in your bedstand.
Get yourself like a. I'll say this: the best pistol I've ever owned is a CZ7. It's basically the Czech Republic. It was basically the Czech Republic's response to the Glock, and in doing so, they made basically the AK-47 of pistols. Very useful, very dependable, never jams, and I love it for that. Mm-hmm. And also, I would say the Glock 24 or the 26, either one of those I really like. But the thing is, it's imperative to protect yourself. I'm not saying go full vigilante, don't go out there and be like Bruce Willis in that, or don't go out and be like Charles Bronson in Death Wish. Instead, just enjoy, get it and just make it to where you can enjoy peace of mind to a certain degree. And, because there are bad things out there, and it is important to protect yourself and those that you love. That's why I care about everybody in this house. And if someone tries to break in the front door, right by my bedside in my dresser is my pistol.
Tell people on the internet exactly where your gun's at. Too.
Oh, they won't have time to get it, because I lock my door whenever I'm sleeping. And that's the thing. If y'all break into my house, there's gonna be
consequences.
Yes. And honestly, that's my thing. Is I just, this isn't me being like, oh, I'm all big and bad. It's just like, no, I just want people to be aware that I know how to defend myself, and just if you show up on my front doorstep, and you're uninvited and stuff like that, I'm gonna be suspicious. But the thing is, I've had people threaten me like that. People have threatened me with violence and said that, I was like, how about I come to your house and deal with you like it? And I was just like, you don't want to do that. I mean, trust me. I don't I don't want to go out of my way to hurt anybody, but
how many guns are in this house?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You have 6?
No, I have 3. You all have 3, right?
I have 4.
Oh, you have 4, okay.
And Kathan has 5.
Oh, okay. So I've got 3, y'all got.
Damn.
So yeah, we got guns in this house.
We got an armory.
Basically.
It's good to know if shit ever goes down, y'all have an extra that you can probably pass to me as well.
Oh, easily.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, I'll pass you my Mossberg.
It's like my pretty much plan if shit goes down is to be grabbing my saber off the wall and just being like,
Or your knife.
Tally ho, lads!
Or your, oh gosh. Or your knife. Or that quick
Great.
that withdraw knife.
Well, the knives if they get too close to me, but I'm gonna try to keep them at saber distance before I have to stab them at knife distance. Yeah.
Fair. But
Knife in one hand, saber in the other.
I'll pass you the the Mossberg with birdshot in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy enough, and plus birdshot's not lethal. I mean, if anything, you can blow their kneecaps off and then make it to where that when the police get there, they can deal with it. Anywho, yeah. So, 3 scary true pizza delivery horror stories.
I was just gonna say, mess with us, get violence.
Well, no, it's just like it's always the case.
Prepare for
if
violence.
you there's a little equation that people need to have in their heads. Now, for the amount that you fuck around, there is an equation. There is an equation that leads to finding out, and depending on how much thou hath fucked around, the moreth you shall findeth out. So that's just common out. That's just common courtesy right there. Anywho, yeah. So that was Mr. Nightmare. 3 scary true delivery horror stories, version 5. Be sure to check out more from Mr. Nightmare because this dude is.
He's awesome. I love watching his videos.
Same. It is a lot of fun and it's a good jolt to the senses. So, anyway, I think that's going to do it. So, till next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Kate.
I am Nick.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.